Good evening. I'm Anthony Sonera. I am the founder and lead instructor of the Zen Happiness Project. I'm so glad you could join us tonight. If you're watching this live, we've got a cool little chat function you'll see right to the right of the screen here. If you're on a laptop or a desktop, you can join us in the conversation. You can also, if you're on mobile and you can't use that chat function, you can email me at zenhappinessproject@gmail.com, and I'll try to answer any questions there. And if you're watching this recorded, you can use that email address to connect with me later. I wanted to start our about 75-minute introduction together tonight with just a quick 2 or 3 minutes of meditation. I've been running around all day. Just got into the house about 10 minutes ago. I thought it would be good if we took a couple of deep breaths together and settled into our introduction. So wherever you are, if you're in a seat, just try to sit upright. We're not going to try to create any tension in the body. If you've never meditated before, don't worry. This is nice and easy. There's no right or wrong way here. We're just going to hang out for a minute. We can simply let our eyes close, or you can lower your gaze and just softly look at the floor, the keyboard in front of you. We're going to take a deep breath, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through our mouth. And just feel the stress and worry, anything you might have been carrying with you from the course of the day. Just let it go. We're going to take a quick minute here and do a little body scan. And a body scan is a great way of getting in touch with our body, helping reduce stress and anxiety, help us be a little bit more present. In our mind's eye, we're going to imagine we're going to start at the very top of our head. We're going to circle around our head, our forehead, our temples. Anywhere there's any tightness in our head, we're just going to invite those muscles to relax, to soften, to be at ease. Our cheekbones, our jaw, behind our ears. We're going to keep our mouth closed. We're going to breathe in and out through our nose for this little brief meditation here. But it doesn't mean we need to clench our jaw closed. You can just leave your mouth quietly, gently in place. If we have any tension in our neck, we might want to check to see, is our chin sticking out? Are we leaning left or right? A nice straight elongated spine without creating any tension. Upright but not tense is what we're shooting for. That balance, the healthy spine, will help put our neck and shoulder muscles at ease. If your shoulders are up around your ears like mine are, you can just give them a little shake. Feel those shoulder blades slide down your back. Continue our body scan. We're going to check through our chest and into our rib cage, around our back, through our torso. Anywhere in our body is a place that we could be holding tension or tightness. We're just going to soften. We're just going to relax. We're going to be at ease. Now that your body is sort of settled into the present moment, we're just going to take the next minute. We're going to just pay attention to our breath. We use a sense of wonder or curiosity, a spirit of investigation, and just take the next 30 seconds or so and really experience every inch of the breath, right as it hits the tip of your nose, as the air flows down the back of your throat, the expansion of your lungs. We'll end our short little meditation here by ringing the bell. Try to bring that same sense of awareness and presence that you're bringing to the experience of your breath, to the sound of the bell. Okay. I don't know about you, but I feel a little bit better, a little bit more in the mindset for this. I was texting with a friend, Colleen, who hopefully is, hi, Colleen, watching today. And I was saying to her about half an hour ago that this is the point at which I start getting a little anxious. We've done a few of these with the Zen Happiness Project now, and I get really excited about this beginner's instruction, the stuff we're going to talk about over the next hour together. But I still get a little nerves. There's a little performance anxiety being here on camera and talking with my friends. Are people going to show up? Am I going to be helpful? Am I going to make a fool of myself? It doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. You still have some of those thoughts. So that was a helpful little meditation to get started here. So it looks like people are starting to sign on. We've got about 8 people live right now. I'd love anybody who is on a laptop or a computer that would like to, if you would introduce yourself. You can just use your first name and where you're from in the chat function. I'd love to hear a little bit from the group what brought you here. And really specifically what you're hoping to get out of the 10-day challenge. And any of the feedback that you give me there will be useful for me, both in the instruction over the course of this next hour, but also as we shape the emails over the course of the week. While you're doing that, I'll just share a little bit of my personal story and how I got to be sitting in this chair talking with you tonight for the Zen Happiness Project. In 2007, I had a whole lot of life happen to me all at once. I got married, I graduated college, I started my first professional job, and I bought this condo. All at once. It happened in about 3 months, and it was overwhelming. I had long struggled with depression. I was diagnosed with depression when I was about 12 or 13 years old, and what I discovered in 2007 was this newfound gift of panic attacks. So here I was with this adult life happening to me, and I felt overwhelmed. So I started seeing a therapist who was very helpful, and she gave a number of suggestions, and one of them was I should try meditation. And I came to a meditation practice because my hair was on fire. Life was too much. I couldn't handle it anymore, and I needed a sense of relief. I was very lucky. I had a friend, we call him Tom the Buddhist, and I asked Tom if I could join him to one of the meditation groups he went to, and he and I went to a Sunday evening class that was taught by a yoga teacher. And she did about a half an hour guided meditation and then talked about Buddhism for half an hour as a small group. And that half an hour guided meditation was the first time in months I felt comfortable in my own skin. It was like somebody had taken a 20-pound bag off of my shoulders. It was absolutely amazing. So what meditation did for me right away was a solution for a problem I was having. All this anxiety. What happened to me over the next couple of years, I was not expecting. Meditation gave me this really wonderful life. I lost 50 pounds. I got associated with a Zen Buddhist monastery. I developed a spiritual life. I think I grew emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And I really attribute all of that to having established and maintained a meditation practice. I tell you, if you met me in 2007, you probably wouldn't have wanted my life. And if you knew what my day-to-day life was like today, which I really give credit to meditation practice too, I bet most people watching this video would gladly trade places with me. I've got a beautiful life, and it's really a gift of this daily practice. So my hope for this 10-day challenge is really 2 things. One, if you're brand new to meditation and you're looking to get started, we're going to cover the 101s. And we're going to do that in this video session here, and we're going to do that through each of the emails over the course of the 10 days. You'll get a little bit of information. We'll have lots of resources for you to learn more, and we'll connect you with some resources at the end of that so that you can continue to learn and grow after the 10-day practice. It's also perfect if you've had a practice and you're like me and you have a tendency of falling off the wagon every once in a while, but you want to get back into that daily practice. So this 10 days is a great reminder of those basics that, we have the saying that if we never leave the basics, we don't have to go back to basics, right? So let's stick with the basics, because really what we discover is that meditation is in fact very easy. This establishing and maintaining a daily habit, much more challenging, right? Meditation, simple. We're going to sit here, we're going to lower or close our eyes, we're going to focus on our breath, we're going to let go of thoughts over and over and over again. And we discover these wonderful benefits for our emotional and spiritual lives. Our physical health is improved. And yet, no matter how much good it brings into our life so quickly, we have a tendency of not making space for this new habit. So we are going to focus a lot on the habit. The second thing, because as we've been doing these challenges as a community over the last year and a half or so, they've started taking on a theme. And I really want to talk about emotions this next week. I got a lot of really wonderful feedback from the Zen Happiness blog post last week called Emotional Resiliency for Sensitive People. And I'm pretty sure I posted it to the blog on zenhappinessproject.com. If not, I'll double check that and make sure that gets updated. But what I talked about in that piece was I'm a sensitive person. I've just always been someone who feels very impacted by things. And I used to see this as a weakness, as a flaw, as something that I needed to overcome, that I needed to toughen up. And I see my sensitivity as something different today. I'm lucky I see it as a real gift. It's what allows me to connect with people, really experience my life fully and completely. And I wouldn't trade that. But I have this liability now. So I'm a sensitive person. I have these strong emotions. Things hurt. Everyday situations at work that other people shrug off seem to blow up my whole day. So if I'm having these emotions, what do I do? How do I work with them? And so we're going to talk about some of that kind of stuff, the nature of emotions and how meditation can be a really helpful tool for working with those. And I think that's good for beginners, and I think that's good for experienced practitioners. Hopefully it's good for all of us. So let's see here. Why don't we check out what we've got in the group. Barbara is saying hello from Chicago. Hello, Barbara. She's wanting to start a practice, so this was the ideal opportunity to start and learn. That's perfect. Karen's in the chat as well. Karen, where are you from? I don't actually, we've been chatting online for so long. I don't know where you live. So Barbara, you're 100% in the right place. This really is, everything about the Zen Happiness Project is focused on beginners. And that's really for two reasons. One, because I've been practicing for 7 or 8 years, I still very much consider myself a beginner. I joined the Zen Buddhist monastery in 2009. I took lifelong vows as a student. I've been training there since. But I very much still think of myself as a beginner. And two, really, at the end of the day, there's nothing complex about meditation. It's a very simple practice. We can teach you in about 30 seconds. We're going to talk about it a little bit longer today, but this isn't something that, it's not rocket science. So even if you're an advanced practitioner, you're still working with the same core basic concepts. So we stay very beginners friendly, hopefully, throughout the Zen Happiness Project. Oh, Karen's from Bristol. Karen, I'm down in Fairfield. That's funny. So why don't we get into it? I'm going to talk a little bit about Zen meditation, and the way I'm going to structure this next half an hour is I'm going to start off with what Zen meditation is not, And then I'm going to talk a little bit about what Zen meditation is. And then we're going to talk about the actual practice. And there's sort of three components to the practice: the body, the breath, and the mind. And then we might, depending on how we're doing on time, we'll see how the group is doing. We might do a little bit of a guided meditation to work with some of that. And then we'll get a little Q&A going. So if you have any questions, there'll be plenty of time to answer that stuff. And we'll talk a little bit about how the 10-day challenge is going to work together. And we'll try to get wrapped up by around 9:30, 9:40 is my guess. Many of us come to meditation because we're in distress. But unfortunately, what we're bringing with us sometimes are some expectations about what we think meditation is. I think there's two very important concepts to be on the lookout for. And I even see these in my practice today after all these years of having a daily meditation practice. First, meditation is not an escape, right? This is not, Zen meditation is not inducing a trance. It's not some natural way of getting high. You will feel good. You can definitely have a positive dopamine, serotonin release. All of that stuff is scientifically proven, right? This will make you feel better. But we are not in the business of escaping our problems, right? So first off, recognizing that we're not running away from anything when we're practicing Zen meditation, I think is really important. Second, I think is very important is this concept that meditation is not the goal, right? This is not the destination, it's the meditation cushion, right? Zen meditation practice is a practice. And when we use the question practice, that sort of begs the, when we use the word practice, it sort of begs the question, what are we practicing for? And I'd like to suggest what we're practicing when we're learning how to be mindful, to be present, to be calm, to be still and open and receptive, to be accepting and non-judgmental, is we're practicing for how we want to live our lives, right? So what is Zen practice? Zen practice is about stillness. It's about openness. It's about acceptance, right? It's about learning how to live our lives fully and completely. We do that with these short, intense practice periods. We're going to talk a lot about taking on manageable chunks throughout the course of this 10-day, right? I think one of the things that we learn through habit formation is manageable goals is really important. But when we set aside some time for our Zen practice, right, we're not escaping life. We're learning how we want to live our life, and hopefully that's fully and authentically. Right? So how do we do this? Zen practice is fortunately really pretty simple. It's this is a breath awareness practice. You can do it anywhere. You don't need any tools. You don't need any fancy equipment. You can do it in the car, sitting in the subway. You can be at a boring meeting at work. You can practice at home with the lights off and candles lit and incense, or you can be in a crowded place, right? There's no right or wrong time to be doing Zazen. So Zazen, Z-A-Z-E-N, is the technical, sort of the traditional word. It literally means Zen meditation. It's one of the oldest and most practiced forms of meditation. One of the things you'll discover as you start to get out there and explore different meditation practices is that they are subtly different, but in those subtleties are great and profound differences when you practice them over time. But in Zazen, Zen meditation, we're really going to work on focus and concentration, right? So this is maybe a little bit different than transcendental meditation, TM, which uses a mantra and you have a guru and maybe creates trance-like states, or guided meditation, which works through different ways of creating positive visualization or mindsets or emotional spaces that we're experiencing, right? This is not insight meditation, which is really about identifying and working with emotions and relating to our mind a little bit through that lens. Zen meditation is really about forming stillness, about recognizing that the brain's very function is to think and to think constantly, and that we are going to use this sort of, it's like going to the gym, right? I'm going to work out my brain and I'm going to teach it how to think the way that I want it to think. I'm going to learn how to control, become the master of my own mind here. I'm going to teach it to be present and focused, right? And so the way we do that is by working on our posture and our physical form and focusing on our breath very intensely during our practice. Karen brought up an interesting point that I'll get around to in a little bit. She mentions the instruction to start sensing your breath at the point it enters your nose was interesting. It helped. I'm going to come back to that, Karen, because I always have an interesting experience whenever we do that. It feels like it's the first time it's happening, even though I've done this practice at the beginning of just about every meditation period for the last almost nearly decade now. This shock, oh my gosh, there's this whole experience available to me that I've been missing. I did leave out one other thing that I want to say that meditation is not. Zen meditation is not no thinking. Right. I think if I had to give one piece of feedback that I most hear from beginners who've decided that they've failed at meditation and given it up, is they say to me, I just couldn't get my mind to shut off. Right. And fortunately, that's not the goal. Right. Brains think in the same way that our eyes see and our ears hear. Brains think. It's in their nature, right? They just go, right? So we've got some cats here. I don't know if you can hear them going a little crazy. So this concept of acceptance is really vital to the practice, because what we're going to be working with in our meditation practice is this brain's ability to constantly churn up and generate thoughts endlessly, right? We're going to learn how to step away from that. To disengage, to create a little bit of space, to create stillness and in our awareness by not identifying so deeply with our thoughts and emotions, seeing them clearly sometimes just as the noise as they are. But this is not a practice, especially not when we're doing what we're doing for 3, 5, or 10 minutes a day. We're not going to experience a thoughtless state. If you think you experienced a thoughtless state, you just weren't paying attention and you missed the fact that you were thinking. I assure you, you're thinking, right? So let's get into the details here. So let's talk first about the body. We could talk, and I think rightfully so, for the longest period about the physical form of the meditation. An absolute prerequisite for still minds are still bodies. Right? Our minds and bodies are one. Our brain is our body is our brain. They're deeply connected. All of our thoughts and feelings happen within the biological, neurochemical interactions in our brain, right? We are our bodies. So in the same way that when I'm sad, I'll cry tears, and when I get a massage, I'm in a better mood, or if I'm hungry, I get cranky, or if I have a headache, it affects my mood, right? There's all these backs and forths. We have all this experience of how our mind and body affect each other and color each other's experience. If we want to have a still and focused mind in our meditation practice, we need a still and focused body. So if we're going to meditate for 5 or 10 minutes is what we're going to be shooting for in our 10-day challenge, it's really important that we make the very first commitment to ourselves that for that period of time that we set the timer, that we're going to sit and do Zazen, that we're going to be completely and totally physically still, right? So to be able to do this and be able to do this comfortably, we have to be a little attentive to our posture. So I'm sitting in a nice firm chair. It's a great chair for Zazen. It's stable. It's got 4 legs. It's got a nice soft padded seat, but it's firm. And it has no sort of overly cushy back. So sitting in a lazy boy or a big fluffy, comfy couch is probably not the best place to practice. That creates a lot of pressure on the chest and rib cage, creates an unhealthy spine, collapse. You can't have nice, deep, natural, easy breathing. You're creating discomfort in your body. So a chair like this, a folding chair, other sort of kitchen table chairs are really excellent opportunities to have nice, solid, grounded, seated positions. I recommend that you start with your feet flat on the ground. I should just pause and say real quickly, if you have a yoga practice or if you're an experienced meditator and you know how to sit in Burmese or half lotus or lotus position, or if you have a seiza bench or any of those things, if you do any of the seated or kneeling postures, I figure I don't need to introduce that because you clearly know how to do those things, right? So I'm skipping all those, not because they don't apply here, but because I assume you know what you're doing and know how to attend to your posture if you're familiar with those concepts. So for those of us who are going to be using a chair for our meditation practice, we're going to be looking for this kind of chair. And it's really all about leading up to wanting to have a nice, healthy, upright spine. Right? If our spine is upright, our shoulders can open up, our diaphragm can expand when we're breathing. There's no tightness, no tension. The body, when it's aligned, really can support itself for long periods of time while being very still without any physical discomfort. Right? So feet flat on the ground, legs in a 90-degree angle. We put a little bit of curve to our lower back. We sort of rock our hips just a little bit forward, create a little bit of that curve to our lower lumbar. If this is a new feeling to you and you're not used to this, you can put a small pillow at the base of your back to create some lower lumbar support. Upright spine, nice open shoulders. There's a meditation instructor named John Kabat-Zinn who talks about sitting in a position that embodies integrity or nobility. And I love that, right? Because if we imagine integrity, right, you feel it, your spine elongates, your shoulders, your chest opens up. It's a very healthy, good posture for your meditation. In Zen meditation, we're going to leave our eyes open, and part of the way we're going to support not being distracted is we're going to lower our gaze. We're going to have our eyelids about 2/3 of the way closed. We're going to be softly looking at the floor about 2 or 3 feet in front of us. So we're going to tuck our chin in just ever so slightly. Many of us have a tendency, I do it constantly. I sit around and I kind of stick my chin out like this. Right, and that's not good for our spine. So we're going to just a little bit tuck our chin under to continue that nice healthy spine. We're going to keep our mouth shut during Zen meditation, unlike what I'm doing right now when I'm talking. We're going to breathe in and out through our nose. Right. Last instruction: what to do with our hands. We can do 1 or 2 things with our hand. You can sit in the cosmic mudra, which is your dominant hand. So for me, my right hand, palm up. Other palm up as well, and your thumbs meet around. You can rest that in your lap, sort of a very traditional Zen Buddhist posture. You can also just rest your palms flat on your thighs. Either one is fine. We're going to be careful not to like interlace our hands or do something else that would allow us to fidget or create discomfort in the hands. So just to review real quick, and then I'll take, if there are any questions, feel free to jump in about the physical posture, because it's the longest I'm going to talk without stopping again. So feet flat on the ground, nice firm chair, legs straight, 90-degree angle to our legs, a little forward curve to our hips, nice upright spine, open chest, our hands either in the cosmic mudra in our lap or hands on our thighs. Our chin is going to ever so slightly be tucked in so we can be softly gazing at the floor 2 or 3 feet in front of us, breathing in and out through our nose. we have this nice solid foundation, right? And this is going to allow for nice, natural, deep, easy breathing. So I don't see any questions at this point, so I'll just keep moving on to talking about our breath, right? We're not going to force a breath in Zen meditation. We're just going to let breathing happen naturally, all right? So we're simply going to let air in and out. The body knows how to do this, right? We've been doing this while we're asleep, while we're working, since the day we're born, right up until our last day on life, last day on earth, right? What will happen with time, if our posture is good and our body is relaxed, is that our breathing will start to slow down. Hopefully we'll feel the expansion and contraction of our diaphragm. You should feel your breath all the way down into your belly, right? If you're not, it's good to check in with the body, see if there's some tightness. Are you constricted? Are you breathing, nice shallow breaths up in the top of your lungs? Are you really settled into the position and you can feel your breath all the way down into your belly? So, just a few quick reflections on breath as being the anchor for our practice. So much of the mental benefits that come from meditation really are derived from the fact that we're living in the present moment, right? There's that whole idea that if we're in worry or depression, we're living in the past, and if we're in fear and anxiety, we're living in the future. And right, one of the amazing things about the human brain is our ability to remember things from the past and to project out into the future, but we do it too often. We don't need to be in those spaces nearly as often as we are, right? So simply by resting in the present moment is where a lot of the immediate benefits of a meditation practice comes from. I don't know about you, but there's a roof over my head. I'm not being chased by any lions or bears, right? I'm safe in this particular moment. It's raining outside, but not in here, right? I just had a little snack. I've got a little food in my belly, right? Maybe, there's some bills on the horizon. Maybe there's some trouble at work waiting for me at the desk in the morning. Maybe, right? But all that stuff's out there. Right here, in this particular moment, I'm okay, right? So using the breath as the anchor is really beneficial for us because there's only this breath in this moment. I don't know about you, but I don't spend a lot of time thinking about breaths I took on Tuesday. And every once in a while I'm worried about breaths I'm going to take in the future, but I'm not spending too much time thinking about breaths that are coming down the road, right? We breathe this breath, right? It's right now. It's in the present moment. So by letting breath be the anchor, the focus of our practice here, we're really doing ourselves an amazing gift by learning how to be present, right? There's a lot I could say. I'll stop. I'll stay there with the breath. It's soothing. It's calming. There's an ebb and flow to it, right? There's a rhythm that is sort of pleasing for a meditation practice as well. It doesn't take any cognitive load, right? To experience the breath, we don't need to be doing mental math. There's no hoops we need to jump through. There's nothing we need to remember, anything complicated to figure out, right? We're just having the physical sensation, and it's rich in its experience. So I'll go to Karen's point now. When I lead a guided meditation and I turn our attention right to the tip of our nose and bring the experience right to where breath is first coming in contact with the body. You feel cool air rushing in through your nose, warm air rushing out. Every time I do that, it's like I'm experiencing it for the first time. But the amazing thing is it's happening 24/7. One of the things that we're mistaken about consciousness is we think consciousness is what wakes us up to the world. But in fact, consciousness acts more to limit our experience, to shut things out, to focus us, right? So what ends up happening is when we are lost in thought, which we constantly are, we're always thinking, right? And when our attention, our consciousness is focused on thought, we're missing this amazing experience of life. This sensation of cool air rushing in, warm air rushing out is always available to you, and yet we miss it constantly, like we're missing the rest of our life. I don't know about you, but I think being alive is this kind of cool, precious thing, and I kind of don't want to miss it, right? So learning how to wake up to my life, learning how to be conscious to my experience, and not be lost in thought constantly, but rather to experience my life fully and completely, that's a big benefit of this meditation practice. Right? So it's a very powerful lesson in that simple exercise of just awakening to the sensation of the breath and the tip of the nose. So let's stop with breathing. We know how to breathe. We can do this. We've been doing it, right? We're breathing. So the real question is, what are we doing with our mind? How are we getting into this Zen training, right? What makes us into this great mental warrior that we develop this practice that gives us so much emotional and spiritual strength, right? Zazen and what we're going to be doing together is incredibly simple. We are simply going to count breaths, right? So when we get into our good posture and we check in with our body and we make sure we're relaxed and we're all settled in, and we set our timer and we click ding, and for the next 5 minutes, we're going to count our breath. There's no graduating from this. I've been doing this for 7 or 8 years now. I can tell you, this is what we do. I breathe in, I count 1. I breathe out, I count 2. I breathe in, I count 3. I exhale, I count 4, 5, 6. When I get up to the count of 10, I'm going to let go of counting. I'm going to go back to 0, right? I don't want to count so high that it starts to become a math problem that I'm trying to figure out, right? I'm just going to let go of the counting, go back to breathe in 1, exhale 2, inhale 3, exhale 4. And we're simply using the counting here almost as like guide rails in the to our path, right? Just keep us on track. Just a little subtle nudge. It'll help us realize as we start to lose track of what number we're counting on, that we're starting to think, right? And if your brain is anything like mine, you will not be able to get to the count of 2 before your brain starts to run away. I'm sitting here, I'm hearing the sound of the rain. I wonder if it's still going to be raining tomorrow. Oh, I left my umbrella sitting at my desk. If it's raining, I'm going to get wet. I'm going to be wet for my 9 o'clock meeting that I'm walking. And next thing you know, I'm 20 miles away from where I want to be, which is right here experiencing my breath. So the magic of a Zen meditation practice is what happens that moment that we recognize that we're thinking. I'm doing it again. I'm thinking. I'm lost in thought. It's okay. It's the brain's job to think. I'm not going to judge it or criticize it. I'm just going to let go of that thought mid-sentence. It doesn't matter. It's just garbage. Brain's just thinking. I'll let it go, and I'll return to the experience of my breath. And I breathe in. I count 1. I exhale. I count 2. I breathe in. I count 3. Oh, but I didn't put together the presentation for that meeting tomorrow, and I really wait. I'm doing that thinking again. Yeah, but this thought, it's really important. It's about work, and I've got to be successful at work. So no, it's okay. If it's actually important, I'll remember when my meditation period is done, and I can attend to it then. I'm gonna let go of that thought and return to the experience of the breath. Breathing in 1, exhale 2, inhale 3. And this is the practice. It's simply over and over again, recognizing that we're thinking, letting go of that thought mid-sentence, and returning our experience fully and completely to the experience of the breath, right? Awareness, consciousness abhors a vacuum, right? We can't put nothing in there, right? There's not going to be blankness and a lack of life, right? That wouldn't be very positive. That would be an absence of life, right? But we don't want to fill it in with the little garbage, the noise that the brain is so good at just constantly generating. And the way we're going to help ourselves let go of something is really getting in touch with the idea of immersing ourselves in the experience of the breath. And this is part of why it's such a powerful tool, because there's so much experience there available to us, right? We got the tip of our nose, the back of our throat, the expansion, contraction of our lungs. And in Zen practice, most importantly, we have hara. H-A-R-A. Hara literally translates as lower abdomen. It's specifically a point about 2 inches beneath your belly button, the physical center of your body, right? The Zen tradition is very tied into many of the martial arts and Tai Chi and Qigong and some of these physical forms of practice that are very tapped into this idea of our physical center. Right? And we're going to get in touch with our breath all the way down into the depth of our lower belly. And this is a very settling, calming place to focus. It's almost like we're bringing away attention from our head where thoughts occur and really rooting our attention and awareness down in our belly where our body is. Right? We really can experience the breath at its deepest and its fullest. It's a great way too, right? If you're not feeling that nice deep belly breathing, it means there's some tightness in your chest or body, or maybe your posture is, maybe you've slumped down and you're collapsed over, and it's a good way of bringing your attention to the fact that you need to attend to your posture. So this is a good place to stop, see if there are any questions. So we've got a small group tonight, but if anyone has some questions, this is a great time to jump in. I'll just review quickly. We're gonna sit nice and solid chair, feet flat on the ground, a little curve to our lower back, get some of that lower lumbar support for a nice healthy spine, open chest. We're going to tuck in our chin. We're going to breathe in and out through our nose, softly gazing at the floor 2 or 3 feet in front of us. We're going to turn our attention fully and completely to the experience of the breath. We're not going to control our breath. We're just going to let breathing happen naturally. Right? We're sort of a passive observer here, breathing. It's not a deep breathing exercise. If you feel yourself going, if you're doing that more than once or twice just to settle into the practice, you're now exerting yourself, and that's not what we're going to be trying to do. That's not the passive, soothing, calming, and focused meditation we're striving for here. When we're doing our practice, we're going to set our timer for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes. And we're really going to set aside this time to learn how to be focused, to be present, right? And in a non-judgmental and accepting way, when we recognize that we're thinking, we're going to let go of thoughts and we're going to return fully and completely to the experience of our breath. We have no unrealistic expectations. We do not think that we're going to be perfectly focused from day one. It's actually the struggle of our brain thinking that gives the practice value, right? If your brain wasn't constantly trying to pull you away, there would be no resistance to work with, right? It would be like being able to do 1,000 push-ups. If you could just do 1,000 push-ups, doing 100 push-ups wouldn't be worthwhile, right? Because there's no resistance. You wouldn't be getting anything out of it. Our mind, 5 minutes of meditation is really valuable because our mind is crazy in 5 minutes. It's the mind, when you start paying attention to what's going on in between your ears in the course of 5 minutes, many people feel like when they first start meditating that they've gone crazy. You're not going crazy. You've always been crazy. You just didn't notice it before, right? This is the brain's nature. It's to think. Okay? My cats are going a little nuts here, which has been kind of amusing for me. It's a nice analogy for our brain, that ability to just sort of constantly go. So I'm not seeing any questions. So I'll talk a little bit about the 10-day challenge here. I think when we start a meditation practice, our motivation is very high. Right? We've got some kind of problem we're addressing, right? We're stressed, we're depressed, we have a difficult family situation, there's trouble at work, we have health challenges. People come to the Zen Happiness Project because they've just lost loved ones, or they've gotten a cancer diagnosis, or they're recently divorced, or they lost a job, they're struggling with drugs or alcohol, depression or anxiety, right? All of these are common fare stuff that brings us to meditation practice. So when we're feeling that kind of urge to change, to get some kind of relief, our motivation is very high. And it's important to recognize that this motivation will wane. If you only meditate once, your life will be better. If you go on a meditation retreat and you have some profound experiences and you shift your perspective, that will be wonderful. It can be life-changing, right? But nothing is as beneficial as a dedicated daily meditation practice. Being able to set aside 3, 5, or 10 minutes a day, and really starting to train your mind for how you want to be present for your day-to-day life. That's the really profound stuff, right? And when we have this high motivation, it's very easy to say, well, oh, I heard that you should meditate 20 minutes twice a day, so that's what I'm going to do. And it's very possible that while you're in the midst of suffering, you're going through this job loss or this difficult medical situation or this family tragedy, it's very possible that you might be able to maintain that discipline right off the bat. And there you are, you're doing 20 minutes twice a day. What's most likely going to happen, though, is a week or two in, you're going to find that you had a long day at work and you're not going to get that evening session in. Or you wake up one morning and you didn't sleep so well, and so you don't have 20 minutes, and you say, I'm just not going to do it at all, right? This is the natural way of things. So I think the really crucial thing, if we want to approach this in a way that's going to be maximally beneficial for us, is to pick whatever a doable amount is. What's something, just for a second, ask yourself, what's something I cannot say no to? You know what, I always have 10 minutes. I can always do 10 minutes. When I'm brushing my teeth, sometimes I play with the phone for a little while before I get dressed, and instead of playing that little game on my phone, I could be meditating. I always have 10 minutes. Okay, if you say that to yourself, I'd like you to take that 10 minutes, I'd like you to cut it in half. I'd like you to make 5 minutes your goal, your daily goal for the course of this 10-day challenge. I did my master's in education. I focused my research on motivation and habit formation, commitment devices. And really specifically because it came out of my experience as a meditation instructor, where I realized, like, this is easy stuff, right? We talked about the meditation instruction, right? We're going to sit still, good posture, focus on our breathing, breathe in and breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10. When the thoughts let go, and people are like, wow, this is magic. They do a guided meditation with me and they feel the best that they've felt in days. They love it right off the bat. I'm going to do this every day for half an hour. And I touch base with them a week later and I say, hey, how's that going? Oh, I didn't get around to it once, right? Habit formation is, I think, the biggest impediment to creating and sustaining healthy habits. And we know this, right? We all know this because we've all had the experience of, on January 1st, we're saying to ourselves, this is the year. I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to save the money. I'm going to learn the language. I'm going to go to the gym, whatever the goal is. And we do it on January 1st. We do it on January 2nd. We missed January 3rd. And we got there on January 4th. But by January 5th, we've basically given up, right? If habit formation were easy, we would all pick a new goal and adopt it. We'd all be eating green salads. We'd all be running an hour on the treadmill every day. We'd all have $1 bazillion in the bank and no credit card debt, right? Habit formation is one of the hardest things we do, because in no small part because we don't give it enough credit for just how challenging it really is. When we're creating a new habit, it's hard to establish it. And in no small part, it's hard to establish because there's all these existing habits in the way. So we have to learn how to deconstruct some things and really marshal new resources to establish these new habits. So over this course of this next 10 days, there's going to be a lot of information sprinkled in here that's highly researched. It comes from both my experience forming and maintaining a daily meditation practice, but also from a lot of the academic research that I became familiar with as a meditation instructor and then later through my master's research. And I'm going to work that in to really try to give you the tools. So there's some very practical stuff that some of them might even sound a little silly, but I really implore you to give it a chance. So be open to that, right? Recognize that habit formation is hard and it requires sustained effort and requires group effort. Part of the reason the Zen Happiness Project is this big community is because we need to support each other in this effort, right? I have always needed meditation groups because for the first year that I meditated, I meant to meditate every single day. And many weeks, the only days I meditated were the days that I went to the meditation groups, right? We need peer support. It's an amazing technology, reaching out to other people and having their help building and sustaining a daily practice. So one of our first tasks, we're going to start right off tomorrow, is encourage people to go to the discussion group in Facebook and to try to meet a partner. It's like an exercise partner for going to the gym, right? We're looking for somebody who we can check in with, who we can be a little accountable to, who we can share our experience with. I think this is going to be really valuable in a number of ways throughout the course of the 10 days. But it's one of the best tools that I've had for developing and sustaining a meditation practice, is really having a partnership with other meditators. So if you're not connected to the discussion group, you can go to facebook.com/groups/Zen Happiness Project. There's links on the webpage, zenhappinessproject.com. It's in all of the emails. It'll be in the email that you'll get tomorrow morning. If you don't use Facebook or you're not comfortable with the discussion groups or going out there, just simply reply to the daily email and ask me for a partner, and I will pair you up with somebody. There's inevitably somebody else who could use a partner for the 10-day challenge. And that's a great person to just check in with and say, I didn't get around to meditating today. I woke up too late. I was going to do it. I was going to sit in my car and meditate in the parking lot right before I started work, but then I hit traffic, and so I didn't have time to find that 3 minutes. So, I'm writing you this email, and I make a commitment that I'm gonna run out my lunch break, and I'm gonna do it then. Right? It's a great example of having an accountability partner as being somebody valuable. But especially valuable too, because we're going to be really looking at our emotions through the course of this 10-day challenge. And sometimes it's really valuable to have a partner to share your experience with. Like, wow, I'm sitting and I'm finding a lot of sadness around my divorce coming up. And I'm surprised by that. It's been 2 years since the divorce. Why is this coming up now? And, this is what it feels like. And this is what I'm working with. And it's amazing sometimes just in giving voice to our emotions, we understand them better. We see them a little bit more clearly. Sometimes we learn something from our partner experience that helps us. A lot of positive can come from having somebody to bounce some of that experience off of. So 10-day challenge. This is good stuff. I love this. We've done 8 or 9 of these now, and I get a lot out of them. I'm the first to admit that so much of the Zen Happiness Project is about me sustaining my meditation practice, and I'm able to do that because I have a lot of friends like you, literally helping me do that. So I'm going to be writing these daily emails, and I love to hear from you. So please just hit reply. I'm on the other end. It comes straight to, it's on my phone here. I stop a couple of times throughout the course of the day and try to get back to my Zen Happiness Project friends. If it's more than just a short email, I love connecting with my friends, talking by phone or by video chat. The challenges are really a great way for us to get to know each other a little bit better through sharing some of our experience. So I'm not seeing any questions. Thank you, Karen, in the group. So I think I'm going to wrap it up with this, but everybody who's participating in the 10-day challenge, thank you for joining us in the practice. I think we had 198 people signed up, which was cool. It's one of the smaller challenges we've had, but a lot of familiar faces. So I'm looking forward to reconnecting with many of my Zen Happiness friends here over the course of the next week and a half. So any questions, email me, zenhappinessproject@gmail.com, or come and find us in the discussion group on Facebook. I'll post a link to that in the information little box right underneath there. And I think that's, yeah, that's enough. I've talked for an hour straight at you. Okay. Enjoy your practice. May your 10 days go well. Thank you.